Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 32 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. Now, today we're going to be talking about how to make every day a great day. But before we jump into that, you may notice that this is the second episode of the week. So, big announcement number one. Last week, we said that we were going to have some announcements coming up. So, the first announcement is we are upgrading to 2 episodes a week. Mondays and Fridays are going to be our upload days. So, look out for that. Now you get double the positivity in your life. I feel like that's a good thing, right? So, yeah, that's announcement number one. We got more things coming on the way. So, be sure to subscribe and stick around for those because we have a lot of things coming up. But without further ado, let's jump into the episode. How are we feeling today?
Man, I'm feeling great. Judging by the fact that that's what we're going to talk about today, I'd say that I'm feeling pretty great. I'm very excited, actually, to talk about this because, I got some thoughts in my ye old cranium.
The ye old cranium.
Yeah, and I feel like my life has definitely, as of late, taken a turn for the better because I started going to the gym again. Now, I know if you've been around on the podcast for a while now, you might know that I've been very on and off about the gym, and that was mostly because I was going by myself, and it's kind of the worst feeling ever, working out by yourself. So I was very on and off, and now finally I turned 18. Happy birthday to me. So I started going to the gym with this guy and Eric, who you will know from our first guest episode. And, all right, bro. But we started working out together. And, I mean, we might as well just jump straight into the episode, right? One thing that I really picked up from the gym is that environment is one of the most important factors and key factors of success. Now, I thought this guy was rambling on and on about how, this gym is the best, it makes my workout so much better. I'm like, bro, you're spending so much extra money on a, extra gym membership. But then I went there and I understood why it's better. First thing, obviously, it's a huge gym. Like, this is a nice gym. Don't need to wait for equipment, which is probably one of the best feelings ever. Even at peak times, there's always something free. So unlike the rec center where I used to work out, you'd probably have to wait 5 to 10 minutes per machine that you wanted to use. But here, the max you'll ever wait is 5 to 10 minutes, and that's rare. So it's definitely a good feeling not having to wait for any equipment. And the second thing is, first off, I'm by far the smallest guy there. The next biggest guy is probably 2 times the size of me. It's crazy. Everybody there is super jacked. And at first, I thought I was going to be kind of afraid. Like, oh my God, all these, people are huge. I feel so little. But just being around those people kind of makes you feel big because all of them help make you feel big. So the other day, we're doing shoulder press and we were on our last set and we were just like juicing out as many reps as you can, right? Until failure. And I'm going, and this super jacked dude walks up next to us and I'm on the bench, I'm facing the mirror. There are dumbbells in front of me. He walks over and he wanted to get the dumbbells that were in front of me. He had enough space to go get them. He probably could have. And someone at the rec definitely would have. But this guy stops, and he waits. And he stands there waiting, and then Eric, who's spawning me, is like, oh, you can go. And he's like, oh, no. I want to see this guy finish his set. And then I'm going, and then he's like, one more. And he keeps pushing me. And then I'm about to put the dumbbells down. Like, I'm done. My shoulders are cooked. But then he says to me, he's like, 5 more. And then I was like, oh, hell no, at first in my brain. But then I was like, you know what? We got this. And then I go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 5. And I feel so much better after. So it's not even just that it's making me feel fine about who I am. It's pushing me to be an even better person, right? So having elevated people around you really elevates yourself.
And one of the biggest things that I draw away from that experience is the fact that you said that, oh, there's so many jacked people. They're going to look at me like I'm some tiny ant and that I don't deserve to be here or that I don't belong here. But then you look at every interaction you've had with jacked people and they're all really, really nice for the most part, right? And that clearly exemplifies that you'll never meet a hater doing better than you. And it's funny because I was going through our TikTok and on the most viewed video I think that we have on our page, there's a whole thread of about 11 comments of this guy just saying, not everyone should have a podcast. Like, you guys suck. You guys, I've never seen anything creative or original in any one of your episodes. Just quit, right? And I remember looking at those comments. The first time I saw them, it stung a little bit, but still, it's kind of true. Like, we hadn't proven ourselves or shown what we're capable of, that we have consistency or that our content is worth viewing. But over time, you just keep going, you get better. And now that I'm here, 20 episodes later, and I look back on those comments, I'm like, it's funny. This guy probably completely forgot about that. And yet here we are. We're doing better now. And overall, I guarantee you that he's probably in the same place that he was before. Because the people who try to drag you down are often not doing better than you.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, to drag you down, they have to be behind you.
Mm.
And that's why I'd say, like, people have a very misconstrued idea of what above you means when people say that. Because you could be, for example, super rich, but still be below a super poor person. Now, I don't believe in, comparing yourselves to other people. I don't think that there's some universal scale that we can grade each other on. But I'd say the number one way to tell if you're, I'd say, good, like, if we do make up a metaphorical scale, is based on how happy you are of who you are. Because somebody who is insecure about who they are is willing to drag everybody else down to make themselves feel better. Right? The reason that those jack guys at the gym feel no need to talk bad about anybody is because they're happy with who they are. They know that, they've made great progress. They're looking great. They feel no need to make you feel bad because dragging you down does nothing for them. Because truly, somebody who's content doesn't need to pull anybody else down to make themselves feel better. Because in the end, they understand that it's up to them to be happy. In your life, you're the one that dictates if you're happy. The second you start losing in life is when you let everybody else dictate when you're happy.
Mm-hmm. And being happy in life is obviously I'd say one of the most important things. I mean, why would you want to be alive if you're not happy? Mm-hmm. Right? Why would you do anything if you don't enjoy it or if it doesn't enrich your life in some way, shape, or form? And that's exactly why today we're going to go over how to make every day a great day. Now, first of all, why is it even important to make every day a great day? Realistically, we're all going to have bad days and bad things are going to happen to us. So how can I really make this blanket statement saying, oh, you can make every day a great day? Well, first of all, I think that in order to win this game of life, you need to break it down into winning smaller tasks. That's how you accomplish any project, right? You break it down into subsections and you complete those. So for life, you simply win the day. If you win enough days, you win the week. Win enough weeks, you win the month, so on and so forth. And eventually, by the end of your life, hopefully you can say that you won at the game of life. But in order to do that, you have to break it down to the smallest step and start with the days. So how do you win your days? That's what we're going to talk about today. But the other thing is, even when something bad happens to you, if you practice a lot of the philosophies that we talk about, but more importantly, the Stoics preach for so long, they help you get through those bad days, right? Even if something completely tragic happens to you, knowing that you still have the power to decide how you feel about that, and B, how you're going to react moving forward, you can still make it a good day, regardless. So those are two very important things that you got to keep in mind at all times. And one more thing on this topic, if you have a bunch of good days, the bad one, every once in a while, doesn't seem that bad. You get what I mean? Yeah. Like I've talked about that analogy where I saw a reel and it was just 7 dots for the days of the week. 6 of them are white, or essentially just saying that they were good days. And then you have 1 dark red spot that says, this was a bad day for me. And it just shows this time scale of a week. Then it goes to a month and a year. So the number of white spots continue to increase because you had a lot more good days than bad ones, and you just have that 1 red spot. So obviously in the week, it looks pretty bad. But then in the month frame, it doesn't look that bad. And in a year, it's nothing. You don't even remember it. So by having a lot of good days that shadow the bad ones every once in a while, you make your life overall so much better.
Exactly. It's kind of like, it's just reflection, right? At the end of whatever time frame, the reason you have emotions is because you're reflecting on your experiences, right? Emotions are a result of actions. So, or events, I guess I'll say. So something happens, you feel a certain way. So if a lot of things are happening and primarily they're good things, it's pretty obvious that you're going to feel a lot better in the long run than you are in the short run, right? I think it's a pretty simple concept.
Yeah, and on the same topic, I saw another video. It was kind of funny because the message he was preaching is a little bit different than what I'm trying to, like the point I'm trying to make. But his point was time heals all wounds. And essentially, it's a video of a glass of red wine. He puts it under the sink and he runs the water. The water goes in and it keeps filling up the glass. And now the glass fills and starts overflowing. At first, the water is very, very red because it just mixed with the wine. But over time, as water continues to flow in and red wine flows out as it overflows, eventually the glass becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. So the same way that the point being conveyed there was that time heals all wounds, having a bunch of good days can help cleanse a lot of the bad days that you've had in the past. And overall, your life can be a clear glass at some point, regardless of how dark your past has been. You get what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. What I was also gonna say is, I think everybody has one of their big problems is thinking about the scale too big. That's why I really like today's topic about making every day a good day, because it's not always about the big scale, because that's what frightens people. Sometimes you just got to take it one day at a time. It's like whenever I'd say this to anybody, if you're ever out there feeling like you want to, end it all. First off, never, absolutely not. PSA warning, do not. People always say, just give me one more day, right? I followed this account, and it was really nice because every day they'd post like some motivational video, and at the end of it, it would always say, just give me one more day. So at the end of the day, it's just one day after the next. If you think about, life in its scale, sometimes it's too big to really comprehend. Like, it also is like you don't feel as much pressure to make things nice right now. But the effects of right now are going to, take place over a bigger scale. So you might feel that one day is insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but I think that kind of a mindset is what leads you to, do the things that you don't really want to do. Because you think that, it's not going to have a big effect. But if instead, take one day at a time, doing the right thing, moving in the right direction, it's like, for example, if you get 1% better each day over, the course of a month, you're going to be, 30% better or whatever, versus if you did 0, you're going to be 0% better, right? So it's just making yourself a little bit better each day is going to stack up over a very long period of time.
Mm-hmm. And the other important thing about making every day a good one, it's funny because I thought about this sitting in the chair in the kitchen. I sat there and I just thought to myself for a minute, why is it that so many of us feel as if life is boring, that we have the same things happening all the time? And I realized that one of the reasons why we don't cherish each day is because we believe that tomorrow is promised. We've lived this life so long that, you go to work, you come home, you rest, and then tomorrow you do the same thing. But what if you didn't have that chance? What if tomorrow you are not here?
Yeah.
And the truth is, it could happen. It might not be likely where you live, but regardless, it totally could happen. So if you live with the understanding that it could certainly be your last day, a lot of things would change in the way you act. And I think it's hard to really picture that. I don't think that I could, even myself, I don't think I could imagine that today's my last day to live. Regardless of how many, positivity experts or motivational speakers say, imagine that today was your last day to live, how would you live? I don't think it's really possible to do that. But what I do think is possible. That's such a weird way to phrase it.
What I think is possible?
See, he gets it. There you go. What I think is possible.
Even that sounds kind of weird. I don't know, but syntax doesn't matter. Continue.
Okay, sentiment remains. The point is, what I think you can do is evaluate the days that you've lived before and see which ones made you the happiest. And then based on that, pick and choose what you like and what you don't like. And more importantly, to make things different. Because if you live the same life over and over, or the same day over and over and over again, it kind of sucks.
But this was actually really cool. I saw this, I want to say exercise, thought experiment, whatever. But this guy, he posed a similar question. He said, what would you do if you had 6 months to live? Right? And he said, think about like, who would you want to spend it with? What would you want to do? All these things. Think about all of it. And I sat there thinking, I was like, I want to go skydiving. Definitely, that's something I really want to do. I would spend as much time playing basketball with my friends. I would go hang out. I'd go to dinner with my family every single night. I'd watch movies with my family. I spend time with the people that I love. And then at the end of the video, he says, if you really reflect on everything that you thought about, those are the things that you really find important in your life, right? So, for example, my family is clearly very important to me. So why is it that every day of my life, I'm not acknowledging them as one of the most important things in my life? So thinking on that grander scale of, oh my God, it might be ending, lets you realize what's really important. And now go chase those things and do those things every day, right? I should be loving my family every day. I should be adventuring every single day. I should be doing things out of my comfort zone every day. I should be, spending time with the people I love every single day. Why don't I? Because I don't have any urgency. But now I've created it. Because the reality of the situation is that's what I really care about in the end. Because it doesn't really matter how you feel right now. What matters is how you actually wait, that's a bad way of wording it. But I think the grander scale of things puts into perspective how you should be thinking, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right? Is that right now what you're doing may not be, it's like take school for example. I'd say most people, some people do, but most people don't enjoy school. But that's because their scale is so small. They think about each day as just going there and slaving away for a grade. But if you thought about it as, trying to get into a good university to get a good job, so down the line you can, provide for your family and all that, now you're thinking on a much bigger scale. And I'd say that's bound to bring you more happiness. You get my point? Actually, I'm trying to think about how I'm supposed to connect this back to what I said originally. 1 second.
Well, something I was just thinking about? Did you get it? Okay, say it.
Because I was going to say that it takes you back to what's important to you, right? In the end, you want to, for example, with the school analogy, you want to be able to live a comfortable life, right? That's why I think about why do you not want to go to school? Because it's a lot of work, right? And you want to go home and sit on your couch, watch Netflix and live a comfortable, relaxed life. Or maybe you want to go out and do a lot of things. But how can you do those things if you don't go through the process, right? If you don't go get a job, you're not going to be able to afford a house. So you're going to be homeless, probably not watching Netflix.
True.
Right? So it's just understanding that the good things will come in the future, just not right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, investing time and energy into something that will grow much later is a concept that a lot of us need to become familiar with. But at the same time, just because you have to do some things you don't love doesn't mean that you can't make every day a good day.
I completely agree.
So I say we get into what are the things you can do to make every day a good day. For me, the number one thing is I feel happy when my days are productive and when I engage in good habits and not bad ones. So I'd say the thing that breaks people down the most is a consistent indulgence in things that they want to avoid. Regardless of what it might be, some form of dopamine for your mind that you don't want to do, but you keep running back to. The biggest ones that I would say are any form of drugs or alcohol, video games, or, lust, like those thoughts. Those three things can totally be eradicated from your life surprisingly easily, and you would be much better off with it. And one of the biggest things that helped me get over I honestly would call it an addiction. Like, I played video games a lot. I wouldn't say as much as some people, but I definitely played it way too much for my own good. Yeah. Every day I was looking for time or an excuse to play it. And when I look back on it, yeah, I definitely didn't do schoolwork so that I could sit there and play Fortnite back when it was super, super popular. So how do you overcome that? The best way that we did it was we straight up unplugged the Xbox and put it in a closet for 6 months. You have to make a serious commitment if you want your life to get better. It's not always going to be easy by any means, because at the end of the day, who doesn't enjoy these things, right? There's a reason why you run back to them. It's because they give you a sense of happiness, even if it's short term and has negative consequences. Regardless, it makes you feel somewhat good in the short term. So you have to make a commitment that short term happiness is not worth the long term damage it's doing to you. So the first step to making every day a good one is make the barrier to entry for these bad habits extremely high so that you can't do them easily. Because for me, I'd have to go to the closet, fish out the Xbox, find the controller wherever else I put it, scramble around and find the power cord, go plug it in downstairs, plug in all the wires, and then set it up and play. That was too much work, and since I knew it wasn't readily available, I didn't keep playing, and I quit. And then I moved on, started this podcast, went to the gym way more, ate good food, enjoyed nature. Once you remove bad habits, your life can be enriched with a lot of good things because you just made room for so much more.
Yeah.
And when you get rid of things that take away the time of your day like this, especially things like video games, because you can sit there for hours, drain all your energy into it, and then realize that the sun is already down.
I'm surprised that you didn't say scrolling on that. I feel like that's the biggest killer right now, at least in our day and age. It's the biggest source of fake dopamine, if you will. And it's, I think, the biggest time killer of all time.
True. But interestingly enough, I'd say I went through I'd say I had several periods of devastating scrolling, but right now I'm in a period of really, really good no scrolling because in my habit tracker, which is something you can actually get from the book right there, Atomic Habits, in the book, he talks about printing out this little sheet called the habit tracker where you put the habits that you want to build on it and then tick off the days where you actually accomplish them. And one of the things I put in my habit tracker, because I actually do use it every single day without fail, and I've done that for the past couple of years, I want to say. It's been a long time since I started doing this. But since I've been taking them off, one that I added very recently to get over my scrolling addiction was no scrolling. I literally put it in there. And since I found a lot of other things to do in my spare time, I don't scroll. I just stay off Instagram. And even better, keeping yourself logged out of your social media is a really good way to do it. Let me be completely honest with you. Somebody might text you, okay? It might be urgent. But the chances of that happening are very low. Let's be honest. Most of the time when people text you, it is some sort of casual conversation with you or your friends. If they really have an urgent thing to ask you about, they can call you.
I mean, I feel like you should tell people that. Like, if you don't have a...
Yeah, but nobody likes that guy who goes on his Snapchat and posts, logging out of Snapchat,
I would say,
don't text me.
Okay, first off, if you are kind enough to tell other people that, then I think you're a good person. In any case, you know, it's
so okay.
Do you think it's better? Okay, let's have this conversation right now. Do you think it's better to completely just ghost everybody, don't say anything, and just completely stay off the app?
100%.
So you don't talk to them at all?
Yeah, I did that for like 6 months where I disappeared and I just found my own way of life.
Did you feel good about it after?
100%. Because
even to the people that, you know, were like, yo, where did this guy go?
There were realistically, I have a lot of good friends, but they also have a lot going on. Like, especially as an adult, you have a lot more in your life than to worry about what everybody else is doing. So
no, but if you have any friends that actually, if you have real friends and you just completely just boom, blip out and don't say a word to them, I'd say you owe them more than that. It's not that hard to send somebody a text and be like, hey man, I'm going to be off this app. If you guys want to reach me about anything, just hit me up on my number. Like, it's not that hard to say that.
True. Okay, that's fair. I agree with that. But when I went through my first 6 months of just isolation from social media, my closest friends messaged me on iMessage. They were like, yo, did you like die or something? Where'd you go?
Yeah, exactly.
But for the most part, I was much more peaceful and better off without it.
Yeah, I think so. I think you just have bad friends then.
Well, I'll be honest, I keep my circle
that's not me
small.
trying to like take shots at you, but if I'm texting, like one of my friends is personally DMing me, then I'm just having a conversation with my friend. To me, that's not like I wouldn't ever feel bad about it.
Let me ask you this. I agree that letting them know ahead of time is nice and then just moving on. Sure, that's fine. I agree with that. But the way I see it is that's one of the things that stops a lot of people from doing it because you have to come up with an itemized list of how many people actually care about you enough for you to send them that message.
Just post it on your story.
That's the most annoying thing ever. Everybody hates that. Nobody likes it when the guy goes on and says, don't hit me up, only the real ones know. Crying emoji.
What?
You've never heard of that? Oh, come
No,
on, man.
I
See,
don't
this
care.
guy lives under a rock when it comes to some social media things.
Listen, man, I'm not with the social media stuff like that.
Which is fascinating to me because you're the one also advocating here that we should sit here and explain it to people.
What?
Let me ask you this. If you posted that on your story for like 300 people to see and 90% of them barely know you. Like they don't.
Yeah,
they're not close
90% of them wouldn't even check my story. So I wouldn't.
I mean, I would say it's close to like 50.
I'm speaking it as me because I don't check anybody's story. You could like post anything. I will not be checking your story. And it's not
This
a
guy doesn't
personal
even
thing.
check my story.
I don't even check his story. I meant, okay, to be fair, I live in your story. So like there's not really a point of me checking it, right? But like my point is I don't know. Maybe it's just I live in my own world, and if you really want, if there's some big event in your life you want me to talk to you about, then you can text me personally. I'm not like, I don't know. I just can't. I don't check people's stories. All right, don't come at me. Don't hate me. But that's just me. So when I think about it, I'm like, I'll put it out there, and whoever sees it sees it. And then the way that I'm thinking about it is the people that don't care. So let's say there's 50% of the people that check. So 150 people. Let's say 90% of those people do not care. Okay, let's take the number down to 100 just to make the math easier. So 90 people don't care about your story. Within the next day, they probably forget, or they just don't care. The 10 people that you actually want to know will know. And now, boom, mission accomplished. And even then, the 90% of people who don't care about you, why would you care about what they have to think about you? Because in the end, who cares?
All right, you know what? You just derailed this conversation for no reason.
No, I'm saying this to the people out there that might want to quit their scrolling addiction.
Okay,
right?
listen. The way I see it is, you have a plague. It's spreading up your arm. Chop off the damn arm. You don't have time to try and save.
Just say goodbye to the arm and then cut it off.
No, just
bye-bye, boom. It's
okay.
the same amount of time. That's my point.
You know what?
It doesn't take that long to post a story, does it?
No. Here's what I'm saying. We're going to put this on hold. We're going to come back to this conversation when we are a much bigger channel and people comment on our videos and give us input, because I want to see how many people would actually rather post about it and say, I'm deleting Instagram, or how many people would just delete it without saying anything.
But don't you think you owe it to the people that care about you?
Well, the people who care about me will ask. The people who don't need to know.
No, but what if it's like but
if the people who care about me really need to reach me, they'll find a way. They don't need to message me on Instagram.
But that's kind of heartless of you.
How is it heartless?
Because, I mean, you're making it harder for them. Just be like, hey, here's my number if you want to talk to me.
It's 2 seconds. It's less
No, what if
effort.
they don't have your number?
Then they're not my close friend.
No, but like, what if they're...
What do you mean?
Because I have some people that I'd say I'm like friends with, and if they wanted to reach me about something, they don't have my number.
Okay, well, even then, my closest friends still have my Snapchat, and I don't scroll on. If you scroll on Snapchat, you are
That's
so
crazy.
Cooked.
I didn't even know you could do that.
You can apparently, but I've never done it before, so I wouldn't know. But
I don't actually use Snapchat anymore. I never really use it. I never got the hype with Snapchat. Like, I swear my Snap score
was cool
like,
when you were in high school. That's why.
My Snap score is like 10,000 or something, or 20,000 maybe. What's your Snap score?
It's still more than that, but it's not like ridiculous numbers.
Like how much?
I don't know. We can find out right now.
All right, live Snap score. Check.
Live Snap score reveal.
Actually,
Ready?
we'll do a quick comparison. I have to find Snapchat.
You want to do yours first?
I mean, I guess.
We'll let him go first because he's.
Dude, I do not snap anybody. I don't even know how to find it.
It's right there.
I found it. Oh.
What is it?
3,592. Dude, I
thought 3,000.
Yeah, I thought it was 30,000.
3,000.
It's 3,592.
This guy's Snap score is 3,000.
I do not snap anybody. Like,
it's not a bad thing. I don't.
Yeah,
think.
I just.
But also, you've barely used it. I used it way more when I was in high school. Do you want to know what mine is?
What?
Do you want to guess?
60,000.
452,992.
What? Okay, that's. I know. I've seen people with some crazy one.
Yeah, that's not even bad,
I don't
though.
understand it though, because like, why? What's the point?
It's called being a bop. If you have like a million Snap score, you're a bop.
What does that mean? What'd that mean?
What? You don't know what that means?
No. I don't know what that means. Am I?
What?
I don't know what that means.
That's crazy. You're chronically online though.
I'm not on Snapchat.
It's it's not about being on Snapchat. It's about being on Instagram.
I don't know what that
You're on
is.
Instagram all the time.
I don't know what that is.
A bop?
No.
She a bop. Has context clues failed you here?
I mean,
Ran through.
okay, I get it, but like, what? All right.
Okay, regardless.
No, but my point was that I don't understand the point of Snapchat at all.
I mean, I'd say the only reason why it was cool is back in high school. That's when people actually used it.
No, still, why? What's cool about it?
Okay, you can share snapshots of your life. That's why it's called Snapchat. You can share snapshots of your life with the people close to you in an instant. Whereas on Instagram, you actually have to go on the Instagram, see their post, rather than just getting a notification that they sent the picture directly to you.
You can just send a picture on Instagram. It's called a message.
But why?
It's the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's different.
The only thing that I use Snapchat for is the extra zoom it gives you on the camera. That's the only thing I use it, because like I was recording the Statue of Liberty when we were in New York, and the zoom on the iPhone cameras, I don't know, that seems so stupid to me, because the camera app can only zoom like 3x on my phone. Like, I have an old phone, all right? Don't judge
It's
me.
not that old, okay?
I think actually we're testing the zoom as well. So
I think it's an 11. Is it 11?
I think it's an 11. So zoom max is 3x, okay? But on Snapchat, it goes to the moon. Like, let's see. Like, Yeah, it zooms in way more on Snapchat. That's the reason I use Snapchat. It's just because it zooms in.
Okay, whatever. Well, funny side tangent aside.
Little funny side tangent. But again, social media clearly makes no sense.
Social media sucks, period.
Actually, just to be clear, Snapchat makes no sense. Actually, social media in general is all bad, but Snapchat's the worst. I don't get it, and you shouldn't get it either because
You know, it's
doesn't
interesting.
make
Do
any
you
sense.
do you think it's ironic for me to say that social media is bad, but I post all of our content on social media?
No, I don't think social media is inherently bad because like now I've seen on my feed, especially on Instagram, I'm getting a lot of more self-improvement things, and I see them. I'm like, you know, like last night I was doom scrolling, and then I got like 6 consecutive reels of like, you know,
Get off Instagram.
not get off Instagram, but like just like motivational stuff, and I was like, damn, I really got to get off Instagram, and then I just turned my phone off, went to sleep.
I'm telling you, it's a lot easier than people think to quit scrolling.
Yeah, I think what it is you just need to eliminate the boredom in your life. You just need to do other things. Like what I found is that when I'm busy, like days that I'm actually doing things, I never actually have the time to scroll. So I don't do it. And in the end, my day feels a lot better because I just get things done. I guess productivity really does help you have better days. And I think it's also because you're doing things that you like. I genuinely like being productive because I don't know. I guess like in the moment you never really feel it's great, but at the end of the day, when you reflect, it's like a workout, right? In the moment, I mean, of course, I kind of love the pain, you know, of like when you're pushing it. It's
I think
super
everybody
difficult.
who's very into the gym enjoys the pain.
Yeah, but I'd say like if you're just starting out working out, yeah, I'd say actually let's take running, like cardio.
Okay, yeah, that's a
'Cause
very
nobody
good one, 'cause
likes-
running sucks.
Like listen, as somebody who runs like a decent amount, I'd say, at least I used to, I still never really liked cardio
Look at David Goggins. This guy runs hundreds of miles
Yeah.
and he hates it.
because it sucks. It's painful and it's terrible, but at the end of the day, you look and feel a lot better. Like whenever I do, like we did a run 2 days ago
Yeah.
in the pouring rain, and it was, you know, I was soaking wet and I was sweating and cramping. I was cold and hot, and it was terrible. But at the end of the run, I felt really good. I felt really happy, and I was like, you know what? Even my legs that were because we hit leg day the day before that. We hit leg day, and then we went for a run the next day in the rain, and it was brutal, but it felt really nice. And I realized that since I'm moving towards that goal, you know, getting something done, achieving my purpose, that makes me feel a lot happier about my day because I was actually doing something that I enjoy. I guess I just didn't realize it at the time. So I guess sometimes you need to evaluate things as investments. Not everything is about the short-lived dopamine. Sometimes things are more long-term.
And the other thing I can say about making every day a great day, now that we finally came back to where we're supposed to
Yeah,
be,
that was a long side.
that's a long side tangent. But you know what's interesting? I always say this. That's what a podcast's for. We're having a conversation. And it's funny. We were talking about bringing some other people as guests on the podcast. And somebody was concerned that being in front of a camera and having this conversation that is worth going on the internet is difficult. But both of our advice was it's not about making a podcast that everybody else is going to love. It's just about having a conversation with a friend.
Exactly. Like, I'll be honest that it's not like 100% of our ideas here are perfect, right?
Yeah.
The point is that, like, I mean, this might be a little bit of a tease, but if we were making YouTube videos, like shorter videos, then maybe there's a chance that, you know, it's going to be very condensed information. But the point that the podcast is an hour long is, one, test your attention span. See if you can actually last through an entire episode of us talking. And also, it's just, you never know where the mind will take you. And I'd say people become super fixated on having everything planned out, which I don't think is it's not a bad mindset. You should plan things out, but don't be afraid when things get off the rails, right? Don't be afraid when things don't go the right way. Like, for example, I'd say this to anybody that would ever want to be a guest on a podcast. Think about how many times those books have fallen on me. I think it's twice, but the fact that it happens and right after I can still just pick myself up and keep going is because in the end, I know it happened.
It's
right?
that clip of Dr. Doofenshmirtz where he's like, if I had a nickel for every time that happened, I'd have two nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's crazy that it happened twice.
Exactly. You know, I think that the reason that I'm able to pick myself up after that is because although I've planned, you know, speaking to this guy on the podcast the whole time, I'm still prepared that, you know, something could go wrong. You know, the lights could explode. There could be an earthquake or something. Who knows? But to be content with the fact that things will go off the rails, it's, oh my God, Leonard Snart. It's, what is it? Make the plan, execute the plan.
Expect the plan to go off the rails. Throw away the plan. Oh, oh
That's
my God.
from Flash. For those of you who haven't watched it, great show for the first 4 seasons. Leonard's not go-to character, but his philosophy is that you'll make a plan, you'll try and execute the plan will go off the rails, as in something will go wrong, and you throw away the plan and you improvise. So I think that, you can't be so structured. Well, no, sorry, Mike, but be structured, but don't expect everything to always go as you plan. Be prepared for variables to change, because that's the reality of life, is that it's not always going to be the same day. I don't think you'll ever live 2 of the same day. Something is bound to change. So you need to be accepting of that change and, work around it.
True, 100%. And that's the truth about life. You got to be adaptable. You got to change your ways, because if you stay sedentary forever, the second something changes, you die. That's exactly why evolution is built into species.
Yeah.
All natural life evolves over time. Why? Because you can't stay the same forever and actually live forever.
And I think now, more than ever, we evolve faster than ever, if that makes sense. Because, way back when, you weren't doing a lot with each day, since you weren't forming new experiences and coming into contact with new variables, you didn't need to change at all. And I say evolution more as in an evolution of character than evolution of, physical attributes or, species. It's not like if I swim every day, I'm going to grow flippers. But if I swim every day, I'm going to, improve my cardio, or my character is going to switch to believing that I'm a swimmer. That's my point, is that the more that you do things in your day-to-day, the more accustomed you'll become to doing them.
Yeah.
Right? It's actually a big point in Atomic Habits is, tiny changes. I thought it would be on the book, but something about how they're atomic. They're small habits, but you do them every single day. And those little changes every day, like the 1% analogy, will make you better at the end of the month or at the end of the year. And once you keep expanding that scope, you realize that the little changes are what make the biggest differences.
I've been staring at the cover for a second, and I just realized how fascinating it is. It's such a good cover. You know why? All the letters are built from tiny little atoms coming together.
Yeah, I know.
So it's all the little things you make, little changes you make in your life that come together and make the beautiful life you want to create. Well, anyways, another analogy that I was thinking about really summed up how to make every day a great day is thinking about reflection or tracking your wins. That's the most important thing. Tracking when you win, when you lose, and how you can get better. Think about your favorite competitive video game, whether it's, CSGO, Valorant, Overwatch, whatever you play the most. Imagine if you go through a competitive season, and at the end of the season, you're given a rank. But you don't get to look at any of the games before that. You don't get to see how many you won, how many you lost, and what you messed up on. That's what your life is like if you don't reflect on your days. You don't see where you won. You don't see where you lost. You don't see where you could have improved and gotten better. Then the next season, what happens? You place in the exact same spot because you didn't change anything about your play style. So just like those video games where you can see where you won and where you lost, you need to look at your life the same way. Tweak things, make adjustments. That's how you get better. That's how you make your life what you want it to be. That's how you become happy.
Yeah, I completely agree. And also, it's understanding what you're supposed to be judging, or what you allow to influence your emotion. Because there's 2 types of causes. So I'd say I'm trying to think about how to phrase this. So your brain and emotions are on a cause-effect basis, right? Something happens, and then the effect is an emotion, right? So you need to judge what causes am I allowing to affect my emotions. The biggest way I can describe this is a YouTuber. How do most YouTubers nowadays describe their success? Or when do they feel happy? It's when they get a certain number of subscribers, or they get a certain number of views or likes or comments. All things that in the end aren't up to them. That's judged by other people. But what they can control is the quality of their content, the consistency of their content, and whether it's their best work. So I'd say some stupid guy uploads a 5-second video that goes viral versus one person puts all their hard-earned efforts into a 1-hour video, breaking down some crazy science topic. One person gets 1 million views, and let's say the other gets 100. Should the person who got 100 views feel terrible just because somebody else has performed better? Or if it was me, I'd sit there and be like, I put out my best work, right? And guess what? I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to put out my best work again tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that because I'm happy that I was able to put out something great. That's why even with our podcast, even though I know we're not the best, I know that we can improve. I know that Joe Rogan's doing better. I'm not hitting those kinds of numbers, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop now because I'm not as good as everybody else or that not everybody's seeing it because in the end, I can't control that. What I can control is the fact that I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to keep going tomorrow. So why are you judging your happiness, your emotions, your path, your success on what other people are doing or the things that are out of your control? That's the reality of life, is that there is so much that's out of your control. And that's okay. And obviously you're going to feel bad about it because we all do. We always feel worse about the things that we can't control because you sit there worrying as if you could. But the reality is you can't. And sometimes you just got to sit down, breathe, have a talk with a friend, or maybe spend some time alone to figure out the fact that you can't control everything. And that's okay.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. And especially as somebody who's now getting into content creation, looking at the numbers, obviously seeing them go up makes you happy, for sure. But if I was looking solely at have we blown up yet or do we have the success that I want us to have, we would have quit this podcast months ago. Because the truth is, there's a lot of people out there doing much better numbers than us and reaching a much bigger audience than us. So if I looked at that, I could have been very upset about this and said, you know what, our shorts get on average, maybe 200 to 500 views. Does that make me sad? No, because if you think about it, I made an impact on 500 people in a day. That's pretty crazy already.
Also, at the beginning, we were getting 10 views maybe.
Very true, yeah.
Right?
Our videos in the beginning got nothing. But then again, it's funny because people are scared in the beginning because they don't have the results of people who have been in the game for so long.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why are you worrying about putting up Mr. Beast numbers?
Exactly. Or for us as a podcast channel, why would we even compare ourselves to Joe Rogan when this guy has done 2,000 plus episodes of recordings? Yeah. He has so many years of experience in the UFC. He has so much martial arts experience.
You want to know something crazy about Joe Rogan that I learned?
What?
Apparently this guy records a podcast episode almost every single day of the week.
Yeah, I know.
I saw Andrew Santino talking about it. And he was like, Joe Rogan he does podcasts almost every 6 or 7 days a week. And then he does the MMA commentating. And I think he opens comedy clubs and then he's still working out and doing martial arts all at the same time. To me, that was actually hella inspiring because this guy is bouncing from thing to thing to thing and succeeding in all of them. And I was super impressed by
Joe Rogan is an inspiration. Honestly, he put a lot of effort into what he built. And more importantly, I love him because he's an earnest guy. He's very kind and compassionate, and he's always giving people a stage to speak on. Because if you think about it, as somebody who's super famous, when you give other people attention, you have to remember that that's a lot of publicity for them. But to Joe, it's just having a conversation with a friend. That's what I love. When I listen to his episodes, I'm thinking, dude, he's just having a nice conversation with these people, especially people that probably wouldn't be able to have those kinds of conversations with anybody, like MMA fighters or ex-army people. Those kinds of opinions are difficult to talk about. But Joe Rogan finds a way, and he has all sorts of opinions on his show. But regardless, all that came from experience. He practiced and practiced and practiced. And it's funny because Eric actually told me that when he first started his podcast, it was through Skype or Zoom meetings and joint online video podcasts that he started with. So even Joe Rogan started somewhere, right? He started at the bottom. So if people hated on him then and he quit, imagine what the world would have been robbed of. So the same thing applies for you and me and you. Everybody out there has something to offer. So just because you're starting now and it's not what you want it to be, it doesn't mean that you should quit. There's a lot of improvement to go and a lot of things that you can do, but it takes time. So just keep improving.
Yeah, it's like that one quote from the movie, and I don't know the movie, which is really sad, but it's the one with Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know. But it's like they're waking up in some space thing. Honestly, I have no idea what the plot of the movie is, but I see clips from it all the time. And Chris Pratt sat there talking to the bartender, and the bartender says, you can't be so fixated on where you'd rather be that you don't make the most of where you are. So be happy with where you are. And in the wise words of Kevin Hart, you are great. there is no reason for you to believe that you aren't great. Right now, even in all the failings and all the lack of success, you are great. Maybe you're not where you want to be in the end, but you're still great, right? Smile, look in the mirror and smile at the person that you are. And smile because you're going to become a hell of a lot of a better person. That was not a correct sentence at all. But you will become a better person, and you just got to keep moving. But don't forget to be happy with who you are today. Understand that this person is you, and this person is going to improve in the future. And continue to smile every day because you know that the next day is going to be a better one.
And now, before we wrap up the episode, we still have a little bit of time. So there are a few more points that we should definitely talk about on how to actually make every day a good day, because we haven't really touched a lot on it so far. But one of the things that really changed my life was developing routines. Now, I'll be honest, there is a lot of variability in my life. There's a lot of things that change on a day-to-day basis that don't allow me to have as strict of a schedule as I want. But once school starts up, or once I have a job, or different, like depending on the time that I'm in, like the season that I'm in for the year. But typically it's school that sets a frame for me. And then I build on that frame, and every day I have it planned out, and every day I do the same thing to start my day. Wake up, give myself 15 minutes to get ready. So I just wash up, change, and then right before I get to the rest of my day, I sit down and meditate for 10 minutes. That's the early morning routine that I have that helps me center myself and move forward. Now, the truth is, if you look at a lot of people online, they'll say you're most productive in the first, hour of the day. So don't waste any of that getting ready or meditating or doing any of this stuff. Instead, just get out of bed, change, and immediately start working. Some people say that. But for me, it sucked. I tried it once or twice, and I just couldn't do it. I found what worked for me most was sitting down and centering my mind before I take on the tasks for the day. So you need to ask yourself what works best for you. Find a routine that works and stick to it. Because once you have the foundation laid, all you need to do is keep building on it. And that's where discipline comes in, obviously. You keep following the same thing over and over again, and eventually you'll get to where you want to be. That's the importance of having a routine. But the other thing is you can't overly schedule your life. Just like I said about mine, there are wrenches thrown in my plans all the time. Things go wrong. People need my help. And I care about the people around me. This wouldn't be the Brighter Horizons podcast if I told you to forget about all your family members and friends and just focus on yourself and do that. Do only what matters to you. Now, again, going back to that conversation earlier about deserting your friends off social media and everything, you might have a point now that I think about it. Regardless, my point here is people are going to need your help. If people lean on you, it means that you're a strong person in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. You provide some sort of value to them. So when somebody calls out to you for help, even though it might disrupt your routine a little bit, I think it's worth it to help those people. So when those things come along, you need to be ready to adapt. And I actually came up with this quote myself. And honestly, I probably should have written it for quote of the day, but...
Quote of the week? Oh, my God. We don't have quote of the weeks anymore. Quote of the Monday and quote of the Friday, I guess.
I don't like that.
I hate that. Damn, we got to come up with a new term.
I mean, we can brainstorm that later, but I don't know. I feel like I should keep calling it quote of the week. I don't like calling it anything else.
Quote of the half week.
No, that's terrible.
I know it's terrible, but we can't lie to the people and say it's quote of the week when it's not quote of the week anymore. Well, we said on the last episode, we'll continue to use it. If you guys got any suggestions, just drop them in the comments.
Yeah, and if we really come up with something, we'll tell you guys later.
Well, you'll find
Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. Quote that I wanted to say. A happy life comes from balance between routine and exploration. You cannot live a happy life with no structure. You cannot live a happy life where all you do is follow your, chicken brain, go all over the place, doing whatever you want, and listening to the impulses of your mind. You can't do that and live a happy life. But you also can't live a happy life by overly scheduling things, sticking to the plan so bare bones and living the same day over and over and over and over again. You need to find routines that help keep you on track, but every day to experience new things, to find some aspect of exploration or adventure that makes you feel alive. If you don't have that, what's the point of living? You need to be out there trying new things and learning. People who innovate are only able to do that because they explore the unknown. Without that, there's nothing. And even the most scientific of people explored. And that's why we have the technology we have today. So whatever it is that you're out there trying to accomplish, have routines to keep you on track, but still have an aspect of exploration and adventure to go out there and find new things.
I completely agree. I think that it's literally what I was saying earlier about how you can't be so set in your ways that when things go off the rails, you can't be afraid to take a leap, right? Sometimes you have to jump, right? It's like if you come across a bump in the road, you're going to have to go over it, right? You can't just stop everything because it's not how you expected the road to be, right? Sometimes you just got to take a leap of faith, but always make sure to have faith in yourself. It's like the analogy of a bird, right? A bird isn't afraid to fall off a branch, not because, a bird sits on a branch. It's not afraid of the branch breaking, not because of its trust in the branch's strength, but in its trust of its own wings.
You completely butchered that.
I butchered that. That was terrible. But the point is, trust your own wings, not the stability of what you stand on, right? You are going to fly. Remember that. Life is Roblox, as DJ Khaled would say.
What is happening?
I don't know. I was in a bit of a DJ Khaled phase there.
Okay, well, I'm going to pull us back to the episode, but the last thing I wanted to say, you telling me about friends had me thinking. The best days where you go out with your friends is where you go out there and you do the most random stuff, where you don't have a plan, you show up, you get together, and then you just see where the night takes you. One of my greatest moments in our friend group, I think, going through McDonald's at 3 a.m. with one of our friends on the roof of our car.
Oh, yeah.
Random moments like that. Fun and just crazy. Like you wouldn't think of them normally. So to have those kinds of twists and surprises in your life, it's what makes it worth living. It's what makes it memorable. I guarantee you, I still vividly see myself driving the car and looking at the employee straight in the face and saying, hi. And her just looking at him on the roof and wondering what the hell she's looking at.
Yeah.
Especially at 3 a.m. Then we also proceeded to order like 9 Happy Meals.
Oh, yeah. And eat them in the parking lot and then take a... I don't even know what
shopping
it was. It was
cart?
like a shopping
like
cart.
a trolley thing?
Yeah, but it was like super
down this
tall,
giant hill. Yeah.
Down a ramp. Yeah, that was amazing.
Point is, random adventures in the middle of the night, those kinds of things with your friends are memorable. I'm not going to forget that. So imagine making every day like that. You go out there, you find a random new experience to have, whether it's talking to somebody that you see on the road or just walking a new path that you've never seen before, taking a bus you normally don't take, taking in a different view. Regardless, you can mix and match the experiences you have in life. There's no reason that you need to live the same thing over and over again. Make every day a great one by adding a little bit of a twist in your life.
Yeah. It's like, who would read a story that's the same thing over and over? Imagine if every single page in your book read the exact same.
Yeah.
It would get pretty boring eventually. And now I'm not saying that you need to do something completely out of the ordinary every single day, but live a little, right? You don't have all the time in the world. So make the time that you have count. The fact that our time is limited is what makes life worth living, right? So don't sit around and wait for life to come at you. Oh, man. Oh, there's such a good quote. Oh, no, I don't remember it.
Do, 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 do.
The quote is about how sometimes, like, when life happens, you're not always going to be prepared for a moment to come, but that moment's going to happen anyway, right? So you have to be ready to, like, grab the moment when you can. But I can't remember the quote, so I guess this isn't really worth it. It's okay. I'll find the quote for next week. Don't worry, guys.
Okay. Well, regardless, make every day a good one. I mean, that's the most simple way I can put this. And, you know, things are going to be different. Things are going to change regardless of how much you plan for, how many routines you have. But I think if you can just keep a smile going through it, every day is a pretty good one. And especially in recent times, as I've begun to make conscious efforts to turn my life around, I feel even more happy. So as long as you're working towards it, I guarantee you that if you apply the things that we talked about in this episode and just keep a smile on that face, you will be much better off in the future.
Just be content knowing that things can change. Be content knowing that life isn't what you plan it. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video, but you're going to need to stick around just a little bit longer because it's time for Quote
Of
the
Week.
Year.
Quote of the week. It's not the fastest guy who wins the race. It's the one who starts first. And that quote is from John C. Maxwell. He's an author and a motivational speaker. And I love this quote so much because you think to yourself that winning is about talent when it comes to things like even content creation. If I sat here and compared myself to Joe Rogan, why is Joe Rogan better at podcasting than I am? It's not just because he's talented when it comes to speaking. It's because he started way before me, 2,000 plus episodes ago. The point is he's had so much time to improve. So whatever it is you want to get better at, it's not about talent. It's about starting now, getting better, and one day you will be the best. So be the first person to get their foot on that racing block and just go.
And with that, this video comes to its end. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the very end. Make sure that you go out there and you make every single day a great day. Be happy, live with your routines, and live with some exploration and change. And with that, make sure you live a positive life, y'all. Peace out.